All right, everybody, welcome to the Hunter's Quest podcast. This is your host, Hunter McWaters. Good to be with you as always. Hope you guys are enjoying hunting season. Man, it's the best time of the year. Let's see, when you guys listen to this, I will most likely be just about to head to New Mexico. And then right after that to Montana to hunt elk and, Lord willing, filling my first elk tags ever. I'm super excited about that. But this is a great episode. Another Alaskan named Jeff Lund. He is the host of what used to be the Mediocre Alaskan podcast. Now it's called On Step Alaska. He's the author of a couple books and a newspaper columnist. An all-around really thoughtful hunter and a good dude. So this is a really cool conversation. We kind of dive into some of the bigger topics of content creation and why we tell stories and the importance of telling them well and representing the hunting community well. And it's a very interesting conversation, kind of more on a high level, almost sort of philosophical, but very relatable and a great conversation. So I think you guys will really enjoy it. Also, I mentioned in the episode about a hunt film I recently released. And so it's a great hunt film. I hope you guys will go check it out. It's a backcountry DIY public land mule deer hunt with my good friend and sometimes partner Luke Dusenberry. We both kill our first ever mule deer bucks, and it's a really good film. And I hope you guys will go to my YouTube, search my name, Hunter McWaters, go to the YouTube channel, subscribe while you're there, please, and watch that film, and watch us both get our first ever mule deer. It's a great hunt, and hope you guys enjoy it. Lastly, thanks to my partners, OnX Hunt, Barnes Bullets, Seekins Precision, Loophole Optics, CVA Muzzleloaders, and a bunch of others. But I want to say thank you especially to those guys right now. If you want to grab some amazing products, not only supplements and backcountry fuel and stuff like that, they also have, as you can see right now, I'm wearing my Battleground Merino hoodie, which, I'm not just saying this because I'm wearing it, but this is literally my favorite Merino hoodie I've ever had. I've had several from many different companies. This one's it's just really soft and comfortable, great hood, and it's got this reach-through pocket, which is amazing. So they have cool stuff like this, and they also have, I know a lot of you guys use their products like Ignite on hunts. I use Ignite on like every hunt and pretty much every day, to be honest. Slumber, multivitamins. I use their creatine. They've got everything as far as supplements go, and you'll be supporting a hunting company. And they do a lot of charity work as well, so it's a really cool way to just support a great company. And if you use the code QUEST, you're going to get some awesome stuff. You're going to save 20%, and you're going to be helping me. So everybody wins when you go to Mountain Ops, get some great products, and use the code QUEST. Also, if you want to get some great backcountry meals, Heather's Choice, use the code QUEST over there, and you will save, and you'll also be helping me out. So enough of that. We're going to jump right into this awesome conversation with Jeff Lund. And hope you guys enjoy, and you have a great fall. Stay safe, enjoy God's creation, and we'll see you on the next one. All right, everybody, welcome to the Hunter's Quest podcast. This is your host, Hunter McWaters. It's great to be with you. And today I'm joined by my friend, Jeff Lund of the Mediocre Alaskan podcast. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for waking up early. We got a 4-hour time difference. So, and you are a high school teacher, correct?
Yep. High school teacher in Klawock, Alaska, or Ketchikan, Alaska,
Okay.
southeast near Prince of Wales, where everybody goes to hunt deer. If you're not going to Kodiak, like those are the two big choices.
That's true. So this, but I've been to Kodiak, and I've obviously seen mainly a meat eater, but lots of stuff from that area. But it's so beautiful. Alaska is just a really special place. I don't know if you know that. You probably know this, but it was the first trip I ever went on. Like backpack hunting trip was in Alaska. I just got back from my third, and it's just such a special place, man.
Yeah, it's it's pretty unique in so many different things or so many different areas that when people come up here once, they realize just how big it is and how much more there is to see. And so
Yeah.
you just have to go again because really there's no place that you feel like you've only scratched the surface. And even though there's nothing here, that nothingness is so vast and so consuming, you just
Yeah.
have to go back again. So even if you're an inside type person, you go outside and you see your first glacier, like, oh, I got to see that again. Or
Yeah.
my first bald eagle. Oh my gosh, there's so many of them. I got to go back again because there's just so much overwhelming
Yeah.
outdoor stuff. In the same way, I've been to New York City before, and you look around and there's just so much going on. Um, there's so many shows to see. There's so much food to eat. There's so much stuff to do that you can't
Yeah.
do it all.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big city person.
Yeah,
But
it's different. It's a different
so,
thing, but yeah, I mean,
yeah,
my first trip, I was in this, by Alaska standards, in the grand scheme of things, tiny little controlled use area in one little corner of the state, and even just that area, I just remember thinking, man, you could just walk until you pretty much die. Like, so if
yeah,
you're drawn to like adventure and like exploration, there's just nothing quite like it. I mean, it's not like you just walk a couple miles and there's another road, another town. I mean, they're animals that live and die their entire life and may never see a human. You know what I mean?
hmm
It's so cool. But
yeah. Growing up there was pretty interesting because that's just what I knew growing up. We moved there when I was 5, and so I'd ride my bike down to the river and we'd catch fish and we'd come back with them swinging from the handlebars. And there'd be bear out there and there'd be black-tailed deer, and that just how we grew up in the
yeah,
woods. And then as far as as far as hunting goes, it was just stuff that people did. It was really a way of life. There was no
hmm
leveraging that for any sort of fame or any sort of anything else. It was just, you know, what you did.
yeah,
Um, so it was pretty crazy to leave. And then I appreciated it so much more once I was gone. I went to college in Arizona. And then I thought, man, the outdoor experiences here are cool, but not nearly the same. And just
right,
that pace of life and the lifestyle, I started to see the frenetic pace and the wear and tear that put on people, and just the inability to just kind of hang out and just be okay with calming down and being okay with the rain, things like that. So
yeah,
it really is a in addition to everything that there is to see, that lifestyle is very, very appealing too. And I appreciated it so much more once I left and came back.
yeah. And you have to embrace that when you go to Alaska, because, like I said, you might be waiting for 2 days in a tent or on an airstrip, and that's Alaska. And if you come up there with this mindset of like, I gotta go now, like, no, no, you're on Alaska time when you're in Alaska.
Yeah, for sure.
That must
I
have been
saw
a
someone post.
transition. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I saw someone post about being upset with their transporter, and I thought, all right, well, you can be frustrated with the fact that apparently 2 or 3 of their planes broke down or something like that. It's like, well, you don't want them to force in there to go
Right.
pick you up and then to stretch those limits just because you have reservations. Like you said, it's Alaska time, and
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing is going to happen. People wouldn't be in business if they ran a bad business. So it can be difficult for people who are used to regulating their time
Yeah.
and everything, working on a schedule, to adjust to that sort of, hey, this is the time frame, and we're going to see if it works, and if not, then we're in a tent for a day or we're at the
Yep.
landing strip for a day, and that's just going to be what it is. If you expect that, then things will be a lot more enjoyable because you won't think about, oh, I'm a day down, or this is
Mm-hmm.
happening, or I'm so mad at this people and I'm going to go on Yelp or something. I'm gonna put them out of business. It's just, hey, just relax,
Just
it'll be
chill.
okay.
Yeah. And on a practical note, if you're planning a trip to Alaska, you're going that far, add a couple extra days in for weather. Just do
Yeah.
it. Um, so anyway, man, like I said, I don't want to. So I know you just got off a couple of really cool hunts. I just got off of probably the coolest hunt I've ever done in my life, which was way up north on the North Slope, um, outside of Prudhoe. After skimming your book, I'm not going to go any further than that. But um, but amazing, dude. Just being in a vibrant, healthy ecosystem with predators. We saw multiple different species. We saw like wolves in the act of trying to kill mature caribou bulls, like muskox, grizzlies, moose. Just so cool, man. Such an immersive experience. And then I think I mentioned to you last time we talked, but we floated out 70 river miles on pack rafts, and
Hmm.
so that's like another way of just like really experiencing the landscape, going from the mountains to the flats, and 3-4 miles at a time, and being part of the landscape, quite literally. It was amazing, but I wanted to, and I'd like to hear just like maybe like a quick story of the couple cool hunts you've been on. But I want to, you're a thoughtful guy, and I wanted to kind of not just do a surface level kind of recap podcast or anything, but kind of dig into some of the more philosophical maybe kind of topics that you address in your book and stuff. So that being said, I would like just a real quick recap on your hunts, not like go into crazy detail, but just
Hmm.
tell me what you've been up to lately, and then I'll kind of frame us going forward after that.
Well, I'll say that so far the season started August 1st, and by this time, typically I'm anticipating or expecting to have a couple blacktail bucks in the freezer because that's Southeast Alaska. That's just what you get. And last year, my wife decided that she was going to hunt and she was going to kill all of her bucks in the alpine because she doesn't like hunting in the rut as much. So it's very funny right now. In our freezer, we have caribou and we have two mountain goats, but we don't have any blacktail bucks. And that's just it goes to show that the variety that we have here, and then also how things don't work to plan as we've talked about.
Yeah,
It was just the first couple weeks were super rainy, and then it was super hot. And then the mountain goat hunt was actually two of them. They were both with my wife, and um, talking philosophically, there's just there's so many things that you can say about how it's about the experience and it's great to share it with someone, but you really can't put to words what it's like when you're up there and you're there with your wife or your best friend or something, and you just think, man, what did I do to deserve this or earn this? Or you maybe think about all the different turns in your life that may have gone or taken you down a different road, and your value system is different, and you're looking for some sort of depth, or you're looking for some sort of meaning, but it's a surface level thing,
mm.
and so to have those rich experiences with my wife was great. And um, both of the mountain goats were kind of crazy situations. The first one was I was just behind I was on top of this rock, and there was a buck bedded behind a rock, and so I could only see the antler sticking up, and so I was just on that buck, and a mountain goat just feeds over right toward us. And I was like, oh my gosh, you kidding me? So this goat's coming at us. I got this buck pinned down behind a rock. And the deal was that I was going to shoot a buck if we saw it. And Abby was going to my wife, she was going to shoot the mountain goat if we saw one. And so that's why we were in that situation. And I kept looking over at the goat, and then the buck just like stood up and took off. And I thought, gosh dang it. And I just saw it running, and I wasn't going to take a running shot, even though it was pretty close. So I handed the rifle to Abby, thinking that, if we would have switched before that, the commotion would have spooked the goat. That's kind of
Right.
what we were afraid of. And so you stay fixed on the buck, and then you take that thing, you take that. So buck takes off, goat just keeps feeding toward us, and then just feeds sideways, and Abby makes the shot. And with mountain goat, you're anticipating, putting a couple shots into it because they're
Yeah.
super, super tough. And so I kind of whispered, say, be ready for all three. I didn't want to say shoot all three, just hammer it, just put one on there. I was just trying to keep calm, because there are a couple of times when we were mule deer hunting in Wyoming where I got really excited. She's like, I need you to calm down. Okay, 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 it's fine. Take your time,
Yeah.
take a good shot. So I just reminded her to take more than one shot. But man, she hit that thing in the heart and just dropped it. It was awesome. So
Yeah.
that was hers on a very unique thing where we had almost a double, and then the other one was the fog just moved in. It was the same sort of situation where there was mountain goat and deer. It was crazy to see them in the same, within
Hmm.
100 yards. This was a couple weeks later.
Is that abnormal?
I've seen it a couple times, but there are people who would say that mountain goat and deer don't cohabitate down here in southeast, at least, or they're in the same areas, but they don't overlap a whole lot. And so I kind of took that as meaning, okay, your mountain goat are going to be at maybe 30 or 3,000 to 3,200, that upper limit of the mountain, whereas the
Hmm.
deer are going to be more, a little bit lower. and right above the timber and up into some of the alpine, but not just same elevation so close before. But it does make sense. They're not,
Yeah.
so that second one we saw both, and then the fog came in, and so we're just kind of meandering through these chutes and these snow patches and climbing up some rocks in the fog to close the distance. But then rather than lift, the fog stayed, and so we're kind of meandering a little bit now that we can't go any further because I don't really know where we're at. It starts raining, put the tarp over both of us, and I'm pissed and just upset that we're going to lose both. We glassed up bucks and we got goats, and I even said something like, well, we used up all of our luck on your goat. I didn't want to make her feel bad, but like, we don't have that sort of luck. We're not going to get lucky twice in a row. It's just not going to happen. So I'm frustrated. um she said, we've come all this way, let's just look over the edge. And so I go and I look over the edge and it's not there. So I decided to go to the left just a little bit more, about 20 more yards, and the thing is bedded down, and the mountain goat stands up like 20 yards from me. I'm
Oh
thinking,
my
what in the
gosh.
world? So I've only taken one standing shot in my life before, and that was a buck that was coming right at me. Just had
Mm-hmm.
no idea what was going on. It was during rut, and I'd called, and it was coming right at me. So this was a mountain goat shot. So I stand up, shoot it, it falls down, and I get ready to put another one in it. So I kneel down, take another one, and kill it. And it was crazy. And so then
That is wild.
I'm thinking, you had a bad attitude. I had a tantrum on the mountain with my wife. Gosh dang it. I love it. I appreciate it. It's such a wonderful experience. And then I stinking almost threw a tantrum.
Yeah.
But then it cleared, um, and this I get it real deep. But I thought about when it cleared, and it was wonderful and it was beautiful. And I was actually talking to my wife. I said, I get so stressed out. I remember when like everything seemed to go wrong for my dad when we moved up here. He got a commercial fishing permit for halibut, and we bought a boat and it had an inboard, and it sucked and it was terrible, and the boat kept breaking down, and never caught any halibut. It was just miserable. Everything he tried to do to make the Alaska life adventurous didn't work. And all of his
Hmm.
friends, some of them had pilot's license, and they were commercial fishermen during the summer, and they were all teachers too, but they commercial fished during the summer. And so it
Hmm.
just seemed like nothing really went right for my dad. And I wonder if he had regretted moving us there. Um, I know he knew that we had a lot of fun, but he just had it dialed in Colorado and Nebraska and Wyoming, like those areas. He had the lake program down. He liked to hunt whitetail. Just had it dialed in, and I think it was tough for him up there. And just being, just nothing went right, and I saw him get frustrated a whole lot. And I had this very honest moment with my wife when I'm talking about how I saw Dad get frustrated so much, and I just think that there's this pending doom, or like it's not going to work out, and so I'm sorry that I get so frustrated. But
Hmm.
then I kind of felt this feeling that it's one of those like dad things was there. Like as soon as the goat was there, and then the weather cleared, it was like, see, Jeff, it's going to be okay. My dad passed a while ago, but you still have those moments where it's just um, you think about how proud he would be of who you are and who you became. And so
Yeah.
rather than think about all the memories and all the things that he hasn't seen, like he never met my wife. My wife met my wife after he passed. But to think in that moment that he would be proud, and I could be happy knowing that he would be proud, and he would be excited, and he would love Ab, and he would love the man that I became. And so those sort of memories are really, I don't think about what I don't have anymore. I think about what I had, and I think about the best of him living on in me. And I've had those moments a couple times this year,
Yeah.
and hopefully it'll help me next year or later on this year if I start to get frustrated again. I'll get that frame of reference or frame of mind.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. It almost reminds me of like an immigrant story. Even obviously, Alaska's still America, but just that struggle of like coming to a completely. I mean, it's very similar to like being in a foreign country when you're in Alaska.
Mm.
Like, you know what I mean? So, but he kind of
Yeah, and
paved that way for you.
people have a couple more years experience when they moved up, and they bought their fishing boat, and and they were just crushing it. And I remember my teachers, and that was the cool thing about growing up in on Prince of Wales, is that all my teachers had these really exciting lives, and that made me
Mm-hmm.
think that I wanted an exciting life. And then as a teacher, I saw the value in having teachers who had lives, and
Yeah.
me thinking, okay, rather than this person knows a lot about English and they can tell you a lot about semicolons, it's more this person's a human being. This person has a life, and their job they take seriously, and they treat it as their chosen career, or their what they've chosen to do with their life and the purpose
Mm-hmm.
that they have in their life. But then also they have a purpose outside of it too. And the better
Totally.
they have, the better their life is outside of work, the better they're going to be at work. And so I think showing that to students, and I talked to them. I was gone all of last week, so they had a sub. Like the third week of school, they had a sub, and so I had a week and a half to establish to them that, hey, I'm here to be a teacher, but also my values tell me that, hey, I'm going to use all my vacation time for the year, and I'm going hunt with my wife and a friend because this is a huge experience. This is a good experience. This is a fun experience, and
Yeah.
when I get back, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be present. But these sort of things are really, really important to me. And so when you choose your career, choose a career that allows you to have some vacation time, and choose
Yeah.
people that want to do some great things. So that caribou hunt was awesome in just being a meat packer for a friend. And
Yeah.
I spent, just like you said, spent the first day in the snow, and we had to wait. But it cleared, did a ton of hiking through the snow. There was about 6 inches of snow and made our way through it, but just beautiful.
Yeah.
And when you get to interior Alaska, and you saw this on the North Slope, it reminds me a lot of Wyoming, in that it's just this barren land with kind of rolling hills a little bit, not much vegetation. If you look really closely, you see obviously that we're talking tussocks and we're talking willows and we're not
Yeah.
talking sagebrush, but it definitely has that open
Mm.
expanse, endless expanse feel. And then you see muskox. You're like, okay, we're not in Wyoming. But
That was
it's
cool.
just to be in that sort of area, and as a different um different challenge. Yeah. So the
Mm-hmm.
last 3 weekends, it was mountain goat non-successful, mountain goat successful, and then I'm up in interior Alaska on a caribou hunt. And I thought, man, my life is unbelievable. This is so great. I'm a high school teacher who, we had to save a lot of money to be able to do this, and this is just, man, it's so great. And so you
Yeah.
come back from that refreshed, and I didn't even pull the trigger. I had a moose tag, but he had my buddy Ryan had the caribou tag and shot an awesome bull.
Yeah. It was a great bowl.
Um, and it was just unbelievable. We got 185 pounds of meat, so it was just
Wow, dude.
tons of meat, and I had to do the shuffle pack where you go 3 miles with the meat, drop it off, and
Is
come
that with
back for
bones
camp.
or no?
That was no without bones.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah, it was
Because
just a
mine, when I
monster
checked
body.
my meat on the airplane, it was the four quarters, rib meat, tenderloins, neck meat, but it was right at 100 pounds.
Hmm.
And so that must have been, and it was not a small caribou. It was a mature bull. It wasn't like a giant, but it was a mature
Hmm.
bull. And so that must have been a hoss.
It was crazy. I thought, okay, it looks big, and some of these you can't tell how big they are because the antlers are big, or they look big because they have a kind of a small body, but like everything was magnified. It was just like the scale was bigger.
Hmm.
So when we walked up on it, I thought, what the heck is this thing? This
Yeah.
thing is monstrous. And
Was it
Abby
a
shot
barren ground?
what's that?
Was it a barren ground caribou? Do you know?
I can't tell exactly where and what, because there's
Okay.
limitations for caribous. There's some spots where you can hunt, but it's becoming more and more limited with closures
Yeah.
in certain areas, and it's shockingly difficult to find really good caribou spots, especially if you got a budget, then or you save up, then you can make some stuff happen. But
Yeah.
between closures and pressure, it's becoming pretty crazy. But yeah, it was a huge one. But it was fun to pack that out. The weather was good, of course. If had it been raining, it would have been a totally different story. But we would have
Mm-hmm.
done it. The last mile, it was raining, but we were 7 miles from where we need to get it extracted, so it was
Yeah.
a
That's
it was
legit.
a pretty good shuffle.
Yeah, we had some. I think the second bull we shot was. But first of all, I was very surprised by the body size on mine. Like it was bigger than I was expecting. It was like almost like a cow elk,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, and then obviously the tussocks makes it a little harder. And the second bull we shot, we had about a 5.5 mile pack out and a river crossing in there, and that was on day 7. And it's tough, but it was an amazing trip, man.
How big was the river crossing? I was so afraid of those, man. I hate, like, you bring your Crocs, you do that, but all it takes is one slip. All it takes is
Yes.
something, and then oh man, it's
What was?
and then we were doing this last week, so this is mid-September. It's
Yeah.
like up on the
Oh
North
yeah.
Slope. It's chilly, it's
If you
cold,
fall
and
in, that's a
there
bad
it
situation.
could snow. Yeah, it's just in the back of your head, and you never want to be so worried about it that you stop running your program. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's something you got to be wary of. You can't just full send that because like the full
Exactly.
send up there, like it's not just a matter of finding some cell phone reception and getting picked up. It's like
Right.
Coast Guard. It's a real full on
Yes.
deal. So the
Yeah, and we
yeah,
didn't
got
even
to
have a
be
transporter
confident.
coming for us. It was on us to get out.
Yeah.
So it was interesting that on day 6, we had been seeing these bulls across the river, and we tried in the morning to get across on foot, and we're like, it's not happening. And so then we got up on a glassing point about a mile or two the other way, and then we could see back to the river, and we kind of could see a spot where it looked a little easier to cross. So then that afternoon, we said, all right, we got to see again if it's possible. And it was a big river, but it had like small braids, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so my buddy slash cameraman, he's still in, I want to fill my tag mode. I'm in like, my tag's filled, preservation, get out of here safely mode. And so it was like 7 p.m. on day 6. It was kind of cold. It had been a long day. And he somehow found a way to get across, going to about like just under the knee a couple times depth. And I was like, dude, I'm staying right here, and eye shot of you, but I'm not doing that tonight. I just did not want to get my boots wet.
Mm-hmm.
And if he had seen a bull, I would have been over there. But anyway, the next morning, it was the last day, and we knew that's where the bulls were. So I was like, I'm in, man. Let's do it. And we ended up getting across without getting wet, and it was fine. So we just had to be really careful about exactly where we went, and just being super careful. But it wasn't too sketch. But it just added to a little bit of the challenge of the pack out and everything. But amazing trip, man.
Who's your cameraman? Because I know you've worked with Luke Dusenberry, right?
Yeah, this was actually Luke's my favorite, to be honest. I love Luke. But I got another hunt with him coming up in Oregon in a couple weeks. But this one was a friend of Luke's that he actually referred to me because Luke wasn't able to come on this one. His name's John Bash. And he's got a production company. He's done some work with Loophole, and he works in lots of different production and not just outdoor. But yeah, it was a good trip, man. And I kind of like to work out with my camera guys if it's available to where they can get a tag as well, because it just adds more to the hunt, more fun, more content. More meat, and usually they cut me a deal if they're able to hunt too.
Nice.
So,
that's always good. Yeah,
yeah.
some of those guys are great. I had Luke on the podcast, and just
Okay.
great to talk to and listen to, and they're obviously extremely creative, and so it's fun to just hear, the way they see things, just how good they are at their thing. Anytime you're looking at someone who can just crush the thing,
yeah,
it's admirable,
and
and how good and how dialed in they are and how creative they are, and how rather than this is the one way to do it, this is how I choose to do it, and this is my creative spin on it. And it's great to talk to those sort of people who put so much time into it, because it's not something you can just pick up and do. I've tried to do that, and I threw together a little video about the caribou hunt, and it's you got to be on it. You always got to be thinking about angles and lighting and everything, and it's crazy.
There's a whole other aspect to it, and those, like Luke, for example, he's very unique in that, like, it's already like very unique to see someone who's put 10,000 hours in the backcountry hunting, but it's even like more unique to find someone who's like spent their 10,000 hours in the backcountry observing people hunt and like filming it. So like I always, even though like in terms of trigger time, he's not like super experienced hunter. He's like hunted with some of the best hunters in the world and spent like tons of time observing different hunters and styles, and so his input on hunts is very valuable as well. And that's another thing that I've been fortunate. Another guy who's doing another hunt with me and did my Montana mule deer hunt with me last year, a kid named Logan Romney, great videographer, but killer hunter, man. Like he helped me so much on this hunt for this mule deer right here. I'll be honest, I don't know if I would have killed that deer if I was with a cameraman that didn't know how to deer hunt. You know what I mean? Like he helped me so much. But anyway, I do want to kind of get us on to what I want to talk about a little bit, even though we could probably just sit here and shoot the breeze forever. But so your book, Beyond the Hunt, like I said, I just bought it on Kindle like this morning, full transparency. But I did get a chance to like skim it a little bit. Um, and um, and so kind of you're a literature teacher, right? Or
Yeah,
English? Okay.
English journalism, adventure survival lit.
All right, so I'm going to use a word here that my English teacher would be proud of. The leitmotif that I'm going for here is I sense in you this sort of tension, as most good protagonists have, between the you kind of have like two camps, I would say, almost, if you want to make it like really black and white. You kind of have like, and I have friends like this that are kind of like the purists who like think like, anything on social media, any kind of influencer is a four-letter word. They hate social media, hate content creation. It's all garbage. They're all a bunch of criminals. They're all making our sport worse and terrible. And, and then you have, the people on the other side of that spectrum. And then you have people like me, hopefully, and you, I think, who want to tell stories just like hunters have been doing since we've been putting petroglyphs on cave walls, coming back and telling stories of our hunts, and want to do it right and do it authentically and help the sport and really just do what we love and share it, through our lens or our pen or whatever it may be. So I do sense this kind of tension in you, as like I feel like you're kind of a purist, but at the same time, you're also a content creator. And
Yeah,
so,
that's the toughest thing. And I keep going back to it, and thinking about it because growing up on Prince of Wales Island, fishing was the thing, and then hunting was the thing. There wasn't a separate market for making that your living, or there wasn't. I can use this. I can leverage my experience to make money or anything else. It was just hunting for the sake of hunting. This is how you got your food. This is how you got your fish. So when I started writing about the outdoors, I started thinking, okay, this is awesome to be able to share the experience, tell the stories. Back in the day, the only people who were allowed to tell the stories because of the gatekeepers were the best of the best or the most connected. So now with the internet and with social media, it's the entire story of the American hunter can be told, which is great.
mm-hmm,
But at the same time, there's a lot of content out there that I think sometimes we can get caught up in branding, and my name is a brand. And for some people, it can erode exactly the point that got them out there in the first place. There's that. Have you seen the movie Blue Chips? It's a 90s movie with
mm-mm.
Shaq, and well, there's
With
the coach
Shaq.
goes to confront a player who took money to shave points in a game.
Hmm.
And the coach says, you took the purest thing in your life and you corrupted it.
Hmm.
And so that kind of, I think about that sometimes, and I overthink about it sometimes too. That if I get to the point where I'm trying to brand more than I'm enjoying the experience, and I'm just like slapping on this sort of, oh, it's about the experience, when I'm more upset that I didn't get anything because then I can't share it, then I can't get likes. It's just eroding my love for hunting, or
Yeah.
my passion for fishing. And I've written about fishing more than I have about hunting, and I'm thinking, okay, well, what'll sell is telling people exactly where to go. But
Hmm.
then I'm corking myself because I'm telling people to go to this spot that I know a lot about, and then I'm inviting people to come to my spot, and then I'm ruining my spot, or I'm ruining the spot of the kid just like me who
Mm-hmm.
remembers going to the river as a kid, and then people from down south coming up and crossing our lines and telling at us to get out of the way. And there's always stories of local kids who are getting pushed off the river by adults who paid good money to be up there to fish.
Hmm.
And so I don't that those are some of my childhood memories, and I don't like that. So while I'm talking about Alaska, I'm writing about Alaska, and I don't want to prevent people from having great experiences, but at the same time, I want to tell the story. So I think it's an ever-present conflict and an ever-present, maybe kind of just staying and undulating in a good, safe zone, rather than being too caught up in or frustrated with branding,
Yeah.
or telling all the secrets and telling people exactly where to go.
For sure.
And I think it keeps it that much more real. And you use the word authentic. You're doing this because you enjoy it and you love it. And you have an opportunity to do some great things. If you get too caught up in the money and the marketing and scaling, I think that
Mm-hmm.
it can kind of lose its fun. And I think there's some content creators that I'm not going to use any names, but you just kind of get a feel that, oh, this is about branding and scaling, and you can do whatever you want because it's legal, but it's just not my particular brand. And I don't want to be the type of person who's anything for the content, anything for the shot, anything for the shot, because then you put extra stress
100%.
on it. So, but again, and I mentioned that in the book a couple times, that just because I don't like something doesn't mean it's bad. Um,
Yeah. Right.
and there are some things to think about now with the amount of closures that are happening across the U.S. and the idea that I don't want to hunt, but I get that you want to hunt has become I don't want to hunt and you shouldn't be able to hunt either.
Yeah.
And so the amount of social media content that's being provided for those people to say, this is why you shouldn't hunt, this is what a hunter is, that's we're feeding the anti-hunting group, which
Yeah.
is a very motivated and very financially backed force. And so I think it behooves us to think about what our online persona is. It benefits us to think about how we're representing hunting.
Mm-hmm.
And again, no judgment. I absolutely not. But I think it's just we should maybe reflect.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna. So I just use that as a personal thing. I'm going to reflect. Is this beneficial? Is this eroding what I love to do? Is this providing some sort of anti-hunting fodder?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think you come away from my book with any sort of answer, which is good. It's just stuff to think about and tell some stories and talk about the industry and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, and you sum it up pretty nice in your intro to the book too. And one that when you're talking about eroding what you love and stuff. I mean, for me, I've been so I have a TV background, so and I love documenting things. So that's part of the enjoyment for me. To me, like adds to the enjoyment. And
Mhm.
like since I've been Western hunting, I've been filming it. The only Western hunting trip I've been on that I haven't filmed was the first one I ever did. And now it's just a part of the process, and I love that part of the process. I see a lot of guys, not a lot, but I see some guys sometimes on my social media sending me messages, asking questions, or saying, and I get this sense that it's like they feel like they need to document their hunt,
Mhm.
like they should be taking a camera with them, or else it didn't happen, or it's
Yeah.
not cool, or it's not good, or whatever. And I'm like, just check your motives. If you want to like take a film of your hunt and share it with your friends or put it on YouTube, or I don't know, if you aspire to do a a TV show or a film, cool. Like I love it.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to talk you out of it, but I feel like there's a lot of like average Joe hunters who like maybe feel that they like need to get a camera and film it because that's what you do now or something, and
Hmm.
that's very, I think, erosive. And so I'll when there's guys like that and I get that sense, I'll answer their questions, but I usually end it with like, just have fun, man. Like,
Yeah.
and remember what your motives are. Like, are you really trying to do this? Are you aspiring to do this? Are you, what's your motives for filming it? And if you're not gonna have fun filming it and that's gonna ruin it, just don't do it. Like,
Yeah.
and the other thing you mentioned too is like, Alaska, like that was your way of getting food, but in another way, like for guys like me, I know it's like a lot of people have this negative connotation for like professional hunters or like trying to make your living from hunting or whatever, but in a roundabout way, of course, obviously, literally, I still do eat the meat I kill, and my family does. Like we eat almost exclusively wild game meat, but also it's kind of a way of quote unquote getting your food if you're paying your bills or trying to through creating content, but doing it like you said, responsibly, ethically, and well.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think, again, once again, just to stress the fact that I do not believe that I am any sort of moral authority and nothing in my book is anything of the sort. But I think I agree with what you said there, and I think there's a difference between someone who's excited about telling stories. I want to write stories. I want to photograph stories. I want to film stories, and someone who thinks, "Oh, I can make a lot of money killing animals. I'm going to go kill one of
Yeah,
everything,
that's not
put them
right.
on the wall, get all these slams, and I can make money doing it." And I think that kind of it can kind of show. It's hard to pave over or hide those motives. Um, but again, do what you want,
But there's
as long
not
as
that
it's
much
legal.
money in it. I mean, I to be honest with you, man, like I don't. I know there are content creators that like are more cringy than others. There are guys. There are definitely. I can think of some people who like have a track record of breaking laws and stuff like that, and that's obviously not right. But I think for the most part, people who are the ones I know, and even ones that get a bad rap a lot of times, just genuinely love to hunt and want
Mhm.
to do what they love and provide for their families at the same time. I don't really know people who are like, I just want to go kill and I can make money off because there's not that much money in it.
Mhm.
Just to be frank.
Yeah, I think the perception is the money thing, but also the desire to leave the job that's unfulfilling. So to be able to have a job where you
Hmm.
feel fulfilled, and there's a lot of people who don't feel that, and so they see this as, okay, I got to make a name
I
for
got you.
myself because I hate my existence, and so I'm going to do this. And you look at suicide rates among white males, or just men in general, and
Hmm.
how lonely and unfulfilled, and how there's so many promises that have been made to address the middle class and help the middle class, but it just never comes. And it's across the board, all backgrounds, all ethnicities. It just never happens. And so people are looking for something to be able to provide value, something that's fun, that's an escape from the monotony of their lives. And so if they see that they can be noticed, or looking for that validation of, hey man, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do all this sort of stuff, and it might not be, it could be a social currency as much as it's a financial currency. And I think that's something that social media is really bringing out in us, in a bad way, also a good way, because social media connects so many people, and it's so great to be able to connect with people like we met over social media.
Yep,
It's just such a great way to positively impact your day. But at the same time, it also compares you and your life to everybody else who seems to be having a better one. And in the same way that it affects the teenagers that I have in class, I think adults, it's the same thing. You're 35 years old, and this person's going on these great adventures, and they're doing these things, and man, they're getting sponsorships, they're doing whatever.
for sure.
And my life sucks. I kind of enjoy my job. I guess I kind of like it, but I would love to be able to, go hunting. And I was talking with Andrew McKean from Outdoor Life, and there are people who, like, the mentorship thing can be very difficult to find. You might be
Mm,
looking at content and you want to go hunting, but you don't know anybody who actually hunts, and so reaching out could be a very difficult thing. I don't know anything
totally,
about hunting. All I know is about, what I've seen on Meat Eater or on YouTube, and you don't have that depth to the mentorship. You don't have the depth to the meaning and someone to really instruct you in the ways. And I don't think a lot of men might reach out for that. My wife asks a ton of questions. She doesn't, there's a very welcoming and inviting environment. I think, I don't know, but it seems for women, it's a great thing. They're welcomed for sure. And they're willing to ask questions, and yeah, sure. Let's get this going. Whereas men tend to be a little bit more,
I'll figure it
reserved,
out. Yeah,
in the most case. So I think they have a desire to go hunting, but no one's there to show them. No one's there to mentor them if they didn't have an uncle or a dad, or a friend to help them out. So
yeah.
I think that plays into it. And so I think that you don't have the refined ethics. And so you just go out there and it's just about blasting, it's just about whatever. And sometimes people share things out of ignorance. It's not that they are ignorant. It's just, I didn't know anything. I didn't know that this is not what you do.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, their story is mistold or misrepresented because of that. And I feel somewhat bad just because they didn't have a mentor. This is someone who's just kind of blindly trying to find something to validate, or to find some sort of meaning. And they want to escape their life and have these great experiences, because it seems like everybody has points in all these states. They're doing all these hunts, and I want to get in on that. But just not having that foundation, and people and good people to talk to, and think about things, and make that season last the entire year because you're telling stories and you're watching stories and you know these people. You're not just comparing yourself to other people who get to
Yeah.
do that for a living.
Yeah, I guess the difference between medicine and poison is the dose, right?
Yeah, 100%.
As far as social media goes and everything. But yeah, and you talk about like, making a name for yourself and I definitely feel that tension too, because obviously I've been hunting my whole life, but Western hunting is very new to me. Relatively speaking, probably 4 years, I guess now, um, and so it's been a huge learning curve for me, and that's kind of part of my I don't know my voice, I guess, in the space as a podcaster and as on my TV shows, kind of just being very real, like that I'm new, I'm learning as I go. It's a progression, but at the same time, it's weird because you don't want to shoot a tiny little buck and make a TV episode about it, which I did. And if when you're listening to this, when this airs, you can go to my YouTube channel and watch my film, my first mule deer ever. I was a hunt with Luke Duesenberry, his first mule deer ever. We both tagged out on a really tough mountain mule deer hunt, public land. I e-scouted it from Virginia. We went in, into a spot where we were locked in. We couldn't really move. And we hunted like 5 days without seeing a single buck. And then, I saw a legal buck. I wanted to fill my tag. It was my first mule deer ever. I wanted some meat, and I went after it and I shot it. And it's a tiny little deer, and I don't care. But still, unfortunately, I have to have that voice in the back of my head, like, and the episode's already aired on Sportsman Channel several times. It's a great episode. And then, like I said, 2 days later, he shoots his first mule deer, which is just a little bit bigger, same age, tiny little deer. Um, and it's unfortunate because I had to have this struggle, like, do I release this on YouTube? Do I open myself
Mm,
up to the hate I'm going to get on the comment section for shooting a tiny deer? And I was like, you know what? No. This is really tough. This is about progression, authenticity. Anyone who wants to hate on this as a new Western hunter with my level of experience on like a 10 out of 10 difficulty hunt, go for it. Like, I would like to see you do this. But anyway, that's not what it's about. But it's just unfortunate that I had to even have that struggle. And I get it from a conservation standpoint. Like, would I shoot that same deer now? No, but I had that first mule deer under my belt, so things are different now. But it's just unfortunate that I had to I almost didn't release it on YouTube because I was like, I don't want to be looked at a certain way. But I decided, no, this is real. This is hunting. This is about progression.
mhm. Yeah, there's a lot of people I think who self-censor or don't think that they're good enough, so they never release anything. And that's the same thing with writing or any sort of creative anything. You make something, you create something, you don't think it's good enough, and so you never publish it. You never put it out there, which means that you're going to be in the habit of never doing anything. Well, it's not right yet. It's not perfect yet.
Yep.
I don't know who said it, but they said that perfectionism is an excuse for insecurity. So you're saying that you're a
Mm.
perfectionist, but really the problem is that you're insecure, and that's not obviously the case with everybody. But putting stuff out there in those first ones, when I was talking with Luke, I was like, dude, is there some like old footage out there of some of your first stuff? And he said, yeah, and it's out there and you can check it out on the YouTube. And most cameramen are like that. Most they have that, but
Oh
they
yeah.
were willing to push that first stuff out when it wasn't really good. And I look back at some of the first columns I wrote and I think, oh my gosh, I got paid for that. That's horrible because it's an unrefined thought or the storytelling is awkward or bad. And just, over time, you just get better at it, but you have to start. Same thing with podcasting. Your
Mm-hmm.
first podcasts are going to be okay, and then after a while they're going to get better, but you have to get to episode 100. If
Yeah.
one is going to be worse, and then even in between, you're going to have some that are better than others. But that's just part of it. And I think a couple people or some people out there that start out, they don't think they're good enough. Their story's not worth telling, and they never get past. They're waiting for that huge buck, and once they shoot the huge buck, then they'll share. But
Yeah.
you got to tell the real story because that's what happens. You don't start off with only shooting trophies. No one goes. No one bats 1,000% out there. So tell them those stories of, yeah, I went out there and I didn't get anything.
Mm-hmm.
And up here, I'll go 40 or 50 days, per year and maybe get 2 or 3 bucks, which means my batting average is horrible. But man, there's like 40 some extra days of great experience. So
Oh
if you
yeah.
can do that, then that's great. So that's not an indication of how bad a hunter I am. It's an indication of how often I'm out there hunting with my wife in the alpine and then in the rut. It's great. It's indicative of a really good life, not just poor shooting results.
Yeah. Yeah, and those hunts where you don't kill, honestly, you usually end up learning more about the than when you do. But I don't know, something else I wanted to ask you about. I'm not sure if we touched on it on the episode I was on your show or not, but so okay, there's there's been this. Well, I think for a long time we did a bad job in terms of hunting media, and maybe it was too much about the kill or whatever. And then now it's almost like there's been like a pendulum swing to where it's like people are afraid to like talk about killing. It's like it has to be a harvest or even I even see like in some of the newer films coming out from some of the bigger companies that are like trying to market towards non-hunters, which I understand and there's a place for that. But like of like intentionally not showing kill shots or like maybe intentionally showing them very zoomed out and like very just downplaying it. I don't know. Like I said, I see the place for it. I'm not saying it's bad. I personally kind of see it as like maybe a slippery slope. Like, okay, we're not going to go show kill shots, and then I don't know, a couple of years maybe it's all right. Well, let's just go hiking and like do some wildlife photography. You know, it's like okay, and then so I'm just gonna say it like yes, hunting is about more than killing. You're taking a 7 day, for example, this last trip I was on, 7 days in this pristine wildlife, ecosystem, 9 days total, I guess, including travel days. Um, and then the kill aspect of it's about 30 minutes maximum of that. Um, and so it's not about that. It's a full experience. But I'm going to go ahead and say it. I enjoy killing animals. Sorry if that offends you, but like that's hunting. It's killing animals. Is that the only part? No, but we shouldn't be afraid of saying that. I don't think so. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's our terminology has changed, and it's ironic that the terminology has changed, and yet hunter approval is dropping. We've tried to soften some things a little bit and try to be a little bit more, I guess, maybe less Quentin Tarantino with our kill shot compilation with our films, and yet it hasn't really had the intended result. Um, I think it's really good to be self-aware. I think self-awareness is an important thing to have across all different aspects, and I think there's a unique style, and in literature and film and everything, you kind of go back, like you said, with the pendulum, and there's different styles and responses, and so I think the style of telling the entire story and not making it focused necessarily on this bullet ate him up, maybe getting away
Of
from that a
course.
little bit is a stylistic choice, but there's still people who out there who do it, and that's your creative, whatever you want to do. Um, but yeah, I think pretending that it's not brutal, pretending that it's not taking a life, I think is disingenuous. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
think we'll get to the point where we're not showing the kill shot, but I think stylistically not focusing on that. And I think that represents this. It is about getting meat. We got meat. But if I say that it's about the experience, then the content that I put out there is going to be more about the experience. And it's going to be what it is. And there are going to be some people who are going to shoot some just beautiful films that, aren't focused on the kill shot. People that will film some great tasteful things that are about the kill shot. So it's cool that we have the opportunity to individually create things that are focused on what we want to focus on. But I do agree that pretending that it's not brutal, pretending that it's not taking a life is somewhat disingenuous. But again, people need to do what they want. They can however they want to creatively tell the story. But
Yeah.
I think self-censoring is not good in any regard. I think trying to or pretend that it's not a serious thing just to attract or to scale or to attract more non-hunters.
Mm-hmm.
I think we just got to kind of do the thing in a realistic way without putting it in people's faces, or at least the content that I do. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
an interesting question going forward to see what the content's going to look like in 5 to 10 years, where we're going to be able to hunt, what it's going to look like, and um, yeah, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a film recently where I don't know 100% it was intentional, but there's a whole film about a sheep hunt and there was no kill shot and I think very few like even pack out shots.
Mm.
And I get it. Like the film was actually a really good film. It was about a relationship and the story was great. I'm just like, and maybe it was just happened really fast and they couldn't get it or whatever. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you're intentionally editing out the killing part of a hunting film, that's something's off there to me. Um, anyway, um, okay, here's an interesting question for you. We're coming up on our time here, but are you familiar with a SWOT analysis? SWOT.
No.
Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Okay.
You could break it down to just like opportunities and threats or strengths and weaknesses, but um, the hunting industry now, what are some things that are strengths and opportunities and kind of the way we're headed as creators, as hunters, and what are some things that are weaknesses or threats that you see?
I mentioned this in the book a little bit. It's just kind of an annoying thing. Whenever you're looking for new gear, you go online and you see people who have given something 4 stars, and the comment is, just got it in the mail, really excited to use it. I'm like, gosh dang it, that doesn't tell me anything. I
Yeah,
hate that.
yeah,
So it's hard for me to trust reviews and stuff because you got those people who are so excited to have their 5 star review shared on social media or whatever that you're not getting really good feedback, and so that just irritates me, and I don't trust that. So I think real feedback on gear and stuff not only helps your fellow hunter, but it also helps the company. So if there's something that the company is putting out there that isn't very good,
mm-hmm.
having this sort of feedback, this honest feedback that is useful, can help in the next iteration. Sometimes it's a matter of, like, if there's a pair of pants that fits me poorly but fits someone else great, I can say, why? Well, they don't happen to fit me. It's not that the pant is designed wrong. It's just, maybe I'm 6'2" and 190, and so maybe it's just a little bit off because large is large. It's so kind of ambiguous and it fits different
Yeah,
people different ways. And so that sort of feedback on things, um, I think that can kind of go across everything. We learn and grow when we get some positive or good feedback, and not necessarily positive. So I think listening to and self-reflecting is a huge thing that could go across the boards when it comes to products, when it comes to film, when it comes to writing, all that stuff.
mm.
Having people that you can talk to and listen to and say, what do you think about this and what do you think about that? I think it just makes the content better. It doesn't mean that you have to change it because this great writer said you need to change this, or this great film. You talk to Luke Duesenberry and you say, oh, I got to change everything because Luke is the authority and everything he says is right, and so I have to make my creativity look like his. But being able to reach out and talk to people and think about these things, I think that's going to make writing better. It's going to make the films better. It's going to make products better. It's going to make so much stuff when we have good, honest conversations, and we're not just, oh, that's awesome, five
Yeah,
stars, oh, great film, perfect film.
yeah,
On the flip side of that, being unnecessarily negative, or if you're chastising someone for taking a small mule deer, well, you don't know his situation. All you do is you see this and you see, oh, it's a desperate person in their show, and they can afford, like, whoa, whoa. You're taking all this hate that you have because you don't have a show, or you don't have this, or your life, you're upset because of someone at work, and you're taking that out on a fellow hunter, and that's not at
yeah,
all productive. And going forward, we're going to need us to be congealed and on the same page as much as possible. Um, that doesn't mean we're all going to agree with everything, but just self-reflecting and just being able to articulate ourselves and not be intentionally antagonistic toward anti-hunters. I think that's going to be huge going forward.
mm-hmm.
But as I said before, like, another strength that we have is just with the gatekeepers gone, we're able to tell the entire story. It's not just limited to a few voices in the big magazines like it was in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, kind of the
Mm-hmm.
the golden age of the outdoor. Those old Field and Stream and Outdoor Life covers are pretty awesome, but the writing is
Yeah,
beautiful. Now you're getting all stories. You're getting kid stories. You're getting um, you know, underserved. It's just so much. There's so much, and the whole
Mm-hmm.
story is out there, and that's such a strength, and that's so inviting, and it should not feel as intimidating as it is for some people. Start your podcast, start a blog, start filming clumsy stuff, just get it out there. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's going to be a strength going forward, and if we exercise some self-reflection, if we're helpful to other people and we have good conversations with people, not just how can I leverage this conversation? How can I get something out of you? Or, I think that just becomes kind of gross, but
Mm-hmm.
meaningful conversations and looking for opportunities to mentor other people, I think will be huge going forward.
Awesome, man. Well, there's definitely more I'd love to talk to you about. Maybe we can do another one sometime, but I know you gotta get to work. Like I said, guys, check out Jeff's podcast, also his books. Like I said, I only got a chance to skim about half of your book, but I could tell already I want to read the rest of it. So tell people where they can find your stuff and hear more from you.
So I recently changed my podcast from the Mediocre Alaskan to On Step Alaska because I started to disagree with the mediocre being like the rallying cry of this current generation where it's like just okay to be soft and it's okay to be weak. I was like, okay, well, when I started my podcast in 2017, it was kind of a joke towards, I'm just an ordinary Alaska person. I'm not going to pretend to be like some mega or awesome hunter. I'm just going to be an ordinary person.
Yeah.
So I think it became. My wife had a Mediocre Alaskan sticker on her laptop or something, and someone said, what's with this generation and being mediocre?" And she's like, "Well, that's not what it means. It's kind of a joke." So I was like, "All right, I gotta change that." So
Yeah.
On Step Alaska is the name of the podcast.
Okay, cool.
OnStepAlaska.com is where you can buy my book, Beyond the Hunt. My other book, A Miserable Paradise: Life in Southeast Alaska, is also available there. They're both also on Amazon. At Alaska Lund is the social media, and
Yeah.
yeah, that's
I got
about
my
it.
book on Kindle, so that's available too
Oh,
for
perfect.
people.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well,
Yeah.
thanks again. This has been awesome and good talking to you. And stay in touch, man. And you need to start doing film reviews again.
Oh yeah, I did a couple of those, and then I was like, man, all right, I don't know what else to say because a lot of this, and then you start thinking about again, just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's bad,
Yeah,
and so yeah, I don't know.
but
Well,
it's subjective. So, but anyway,
yeah,
cool, man. Thanks again, and yeah, stay in touch. We'll talk soon, buddy.
sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right.
Later.
Thanks, dude. That was great.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, it was awesome. Good conversation. It flew by.
Yeah, sure did. Sure did. I
All
can
right.
smell the bacon, so my wife is making bacon, so I'm
Okay.
excited about that.
That's awesome. You're
Do you
lucky,
need
man.
pictures or anything, or what are you looking
Yeah,
at?
if you got, I usually take them off people's Instagram, but if you don't have much on there,
Mhm.
send me a couple.
Okay. Yeah, I think anything that's good, you can use anything on Instagram, so we're all good
Okay, if
there.
there's good stuff on there, then that's fine. If you
Okay.
got something else you'd rather me use, you can send it to me.
Okay.
But I'll just use the Instagram if that works.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool, man. Thanks again, dude.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too, man.